So, whoever's late is late, and that's their problem. Good morning. I actually don't know what Amy promised you guys.
I didn't promise anything.
There's some write-up, I don't know. Anyway, but...
You need to read your flyers.
Huh?
You need to read your flyers.
I probably should. There's one around here somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Several.
Yeah. What did we promise them?
You're going to show up.
Explore the possibilities.
The possibilities. All right. We will do that. Okay. So, we have some graduates from trainings who will hopefully share a little bit about what they experienced and what they gained from trainings. And I'm going to talk a little bit, not so much in details, but the general concept that relate to the Sugi Way and Sugi Yoga. And you can ask whatever you like that relates to life, the universe, and everything. Preferably, though, relates to Sugi Yoga or the Sugi Way. And that's it. If we have time, we'll do a few minutes of exercises, yoga or something.
You want to introduce yourself?
Um,
People who know who you are.
Is there anybody who doesn't know who I am?
There are
Very
people.
good. And my name is Ofer. I am the founder of Sugi Yoga. And that's my claim to fame. That's it. Right? What else is there? Sugi Touch, which is hands-on work. And I taught yoga for about 20 years, and sometimes up to 12 or 13 yoga classes a week. And now I mostly sub for the teachers here when they absolutely have no one else. And I do workshops by request and trainings when there are enough people interested. So that's me.
Can you just give an overview of what the training is going to be and for people who haven't?
The training? Okay, yeah.
Concepts and
No.
and then people can talk about
Well, what the idea of the training is to delve deeper into the world of yoga, and particularly Sugi Yoga. And without getting into a whole lecture about the world of yoga right now, you should know that it's enormous. And what you come across, at least in this area that I've talked to people about, is a very thin sliver of it that's called Hatha Yoga. And within that, there are different styles. Iyengar is the most famous right now, and Bikram, which is the Hatha Yoga, is probably the second most well-known. There are many, many, many other styles of Hatha Yoga, and aside from Hatha Yoga, there are other kinds of yoga. So it's a very thin sliver. And within Hatha Yoga, we have also Sugi Yoga, which is actually very different in nature than other yogas, though we use a lot of the same, how should I say, tools, in a sense that we use the same postures, same pranayama, similar meditations. But the way in which we go about it is very, very different. And that is the essential point here. So, one of the things that's important to understand is that for animals, their physical characteristics are the main contributor to their the quality of their life. Okay, so in a dog pack, the bigger dog has a better life. Okay, that kind of a thing. So, in the animal kingdom in general, the physical characteristics are what makes the difference in the quality of life. For human beings, it's knowledge and skill, not physical characteristics. That's very, very interesting to know, because what it means in a sense is that the more you know and the more you develop your skills, the better your life can get. And being that almost everything that you do, you had to learn, that means that almost everything that you do is a skill, which means that it can be improved further. Okay? Following me so far? Does it make sense? Yes. Okay. When it comes to the practice of yoga, what it means practically is that the more you know, the more you will get out of the same practice. As an example, if you go through a yoga class and one of the teachers goes through the same yoga class, chances are they will gain more benefits than you do because they have more knowledge and more experience. Which is a very cool thing to know and to understand. So the purpose of a training or a course that goes in depth like this is to give you more of that knowledge so that when you go to practice, you'll gain more out of the practice. On top of that, as I've mentioned, Sugi Yoga is essentially different than other styles of yoga. And learning the difference both philosophically and experientially is very, very beneficial. The training itself is about 300 hours in total, spread over a year. And about half of it, a little over half, is with me. So I talk and I teach and philosophy and answering question and questioning answers. And then the rest of it is mostly kind of homework practice that you do at home, and then bring your experiences to class so that we can talk about them, and so that I can give you more of my experience. I started doing yoga more than 30 years ago, so whatever you can take from that, it's a shortcut for you, which is one of the reasons to go and study with anybody, is that they can take 20 or 30 years of experience and give it to you more or less intact in a year, in this case. The practice at home will include yoga practice and some reading and taking some classes, hopefully, here with different Sugi Yoga teachers, so that you can sense the difference, experience the difference between the different teachers, and take what is common as the essence of Sugi Yoga. Because they all teach Sugi Yoga with their own personality in it. So that's basically the training, and about 300 hours, as I said. The total cost is about $3,700, which can be spread in payments, and those arrangements are done personally with me, which is a good time to say I'm in charge, which means that any changes that need to happen or any requests that you have for this or that or the other, just come and talk to me. As an example, we're in the middle of a Sugi Touch training. There was supposed to be a class on the 29th, and 2 people in the training couldn't make it, so they got together and figured out an alternative date, which is tomorrow. And so we're getting together tomorrow instead of on the 29th to do a day of training. Okay, and that flexibility is possible as long as we have relatively small groups in the training and as long as I'm in charge.
Can I ask, Ofer?
Yeah.
Part of our intention here was to be able to hear the experience
Right.
of other people who've had training, which there are a number of them here. And I think it'd be nice to hear just your definitions of Sugi Yoga and what's different to you from your experiences. Because I know all of you, I don't know about Linda, but I think the rest of you all had other yoga experience. Did you take other yoga before?
I've taken smattering.
You had
others,
some,
but
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like them.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do actually, I'm recording this. I don't know why, but maybe something smart will end up on the tape. But what I'd like to do is just pass the recorder and you experienced teachers talk a little bit about whatever occurs to you. To talk about your experience in the training or as a teacher or how it changed your life or whatever seems right to you to talk about today. And then maybe other people here will have a question or two for you. So feel free to answer those, okay? So just because you're closest to me, you get Jan wins. So this is Jan.
I'm Jan Enderly, and I took Ofer's training. I got my certificate in 2004,
It's possible.
so a while ago. Everybody probably knows the story of how I found Ofer and how Sugi Yoga changed my life and all that stuff. But what I really wanted to talk about is the difference between...
Not everybody
They don't
knows.
know that story. That's why you're here.
Okay, well, let me talk about this experiential kind of teaching that Ofer does. It's very different from a lot of other teachers and workshops and classes and things that I've been to in my life. And it's what really connected me with this style of yoga. And along with his wonderful knowledge and his lectures and his lessons, he asks you to actually experience the yoga. And so in each training, you're down on the floor, really looking internally at your movement, going through it very slowly and very meticulously, and getting to a depth that I don't think you get in other trainings. And I think that's what makes us good teachers, is that by the time you're done with this training, you've had so much experience. You don't have to go out and get experience by teaching, which I feel a lot of other yoga teachers have to do. Once they're done with their training, they have to go out and get experience. I feel like we're already experienced. And I think that is a wonderful testament to your teaching.
Thank you. This coming training actually is going to have a little bit more of that than you guys did. I've added the case studies to the training. And there's also an idea of them coming here and teaching at least part of a class under you guys so that they can have some experience and then you can give them some feed-forward stuff.
Yes.
So that's under contemplation.
Excellent.
And Jan, will you tell
My personal story?
at
Sure.
least whatever parts feel comfortable, because I think that's meaningful for people.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I was feeling the effects of a very active life, and I had just gotten a pacemaker. So I had a lot of shoulder issues as well as having to readjust my movement in my shoulder. I also had some rotator cuff issues. I had wrist issues. I had ankle issues. I had a lot of pain. And because I've been in the horticulture and landscape business all my life for the past 30 years. So I'd done yoga off and on all my life, but when I stumbled upon this wonderful yoga studio here at this center that was right next door one day and came to class, it was instantly life-altering. I connected with the movement. At that time you were called yoga in motion, and that's the other thing about the Sugi style of yoga. It's a lot of movement along with the postures, and it really spoke to me. It opened up areas and relieved pain in areas that I hadn't experienced in a long time. So the next day I woke up and I felt so good that I was totally hooked. And I started taking your classes on a regular basis, and the progression was just amazing. I could get up in the morning and actually walk without limping on my poor ankles. And I got more movement in my shoulders. I could actually, reach back and up, which I hadn't done in a long time without a lot of difficulty. And I remember watching you do crow, kakasana, crow, the first or second time I came to class, and I'm like, I'll never be able to do that, not with my wrists. And now here I am doing crow and all sorts of other things that I couldn't possibly have done back then. So it was really life-changing, and I took his training just to deepen that practice within me, because it was having such an effect. And by the end of the training, it was just a natural thing for me I hadn't intended it, but it was a natural thing for me just to step into teaching. So thank you. It's been one thing after another since then. I've taken my teaching to combine it with my other passions, which is nature and hiking, and I do yoga hikes and all sorts of stuff now, so there's just no end.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my name's Nancy Gazzaldo, and I don't know, it's been 4 years since I took your training, I think. So I have been with Ofer for, my son is 16. I started with him when he was about a year. So 15 years.
I think at Linda Evans.
At Linda Evans, yeah.
And then at the Kung Fu place.
Yes, I followed him to Kung Fu place, and then here, next door. So,
Stalker.
I'm his stalker. Wherever Ofer goes, I will be close behind. So I had taken other classes at the gym, and I have a real hard time with still, being, somebody telling me to be still. And I would come home from those classes really grumpy sometimes, because I had been pushing so hard to stay still, and it was very hard for me. So when he allowed movement in the posture, that we could do some exploring, and that just opened it up for me. I was like, yes, I have found what is good for me. Because then I would leave his classes, and I would notice my hips moved better, my shoulders were swinging. I would get in my car, and I wasn't like, ugh. I was a happy little camper after his classes. So that was a big wake-up call for me. And the reason I decided to start teaching was 10 years ago, I herniated 2 discs in my neck. And it was an old injury from when I was in my early 20s. But it finally, some little darn thing, I was lifting a couch and pop, out it went. So, but I wasn't freaked out about it because I knew I had Sugi Yoga. And I was not probably in enough pain that I took a little while to figure this out because I could, get out of pain. But it was, staying around. So I went and got it checked, and they said, yeah, you herniated discs. You need to have them replaced. So what they do is they take bone out of your hip, they put it in your neck, and you're fused. So you lose 30% of the mobility in your neck. And then the doctor told me I'd be back in 5 years for another surgery. So he said, because that's just what happens. And I was like, oh, well, that's wonderful. But the thing about it was, I was still in my neck collar. I had to wear it for 3 months. I could do Sugi yoga. Within a week after my surgery, I could do yoga. And I thought, if I can do this with my neck in a brace after surgery, everybody can do this. And that's what I wanted to teach people. You could all do this. You can do it. Because you just take the philosophy of baby steps, taking care of yourself, feeling, reaching inside, knowing where your limits are, accepting them, and you improve. You just get better. And I've gotten older and I've gotten better. I can do things I couldn't do in my 20s and 30s. I can do them in my 50s. So that was I've learned that I can get better as I get older. I don't have to get old physically. I can stay young and improve. So that's why I'm teaching yoga, and I'm improving all the time. I'm kind of little baby steps, things I couldn't do a year ago, I'm doing now. And I can put my head on the floor, and I can do a half headstand. So I didn't think that would ever be happening. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I'm very happy that I did this. It has been life-altering, and it continues to be, growing all the time. Oh, Kat, your turn. Oh, Linda, that's right. I'm sorry. You want to talk?
I do. Of course. Okay, so I was walking, noticed the studio next door, and would be walking by, and gee, maybe someday I'll stop in there, and maybe someday, I kind of eyed it from outside. And so I come in one day for a class, and I'm talking to Amy. Amy says, have you done yoga before? And I said, yes, I have, but I don't know how I can do it, because I really get sore after. And Amy looked at me and she said, oh, you won't be sore here. And that was the first class I took, and I've been here ever since. It's been 6 years. The reason I took the training was not to teach. I never wanted to teach. I was educated as a teacher, and I knew long ago in college that teaching wasn't really my love. So best to stay away from that part of it. But I wanted to know more. And what Ofer said about coming to somebody who's got 30 years of experience and learning from them, that was key for me, is I just wanted to know more. And I wanted to know more about the Sugi Way. I wanted to know more about how to approach things. I come, of course, from a background like many of us do of, you need to push. No pain, no gain. This is, from the very start. And I wanted to learn a different way in my life, in my total life. And the yoga training really brought me to a much more accepting way of dealing with myself and other people. I've grown as a person. I've become more accepting and more forgiving in every way in my life. And I also want to say that just a few months ago I was diagnosed with MS. I've had it for years, but and I always wondered, what's going on with me? I don't think I don't think I move totally normally, and what's going on with me? And I'm quite convinced that had I not done the yoga training and kept with yoga for 6 years, I probably wouldn't be moving as well as I am now. I'm very, very grateful to you guys. Thank you.
She didn't take the yoga training.
Oh,
I've never done it once.
so funny.
It's your
I
your
think of you
time.
as having done it, but I guess it's you did the Sugi training.
Many
of us have been around for many years.
Yeah. Well, hi, I'm Kat, and Kat King, and actually I am a teacher kind of a person. That's what I've done my whole adult life, is be a teacher, and
So I love teaching yoga as well. I did teach other styles of yoga before I came upon Sugi Yoga, and I discovered Ofer over at Linda Evans, where I was teaching at the time. And but I have to say, I'm not a person who likes to work real hard physically, and so this style of yoga really worked for me well, because you're not going to hurt yourself. You're going to really pay attention to your body, and you're going to listen to what your body wants to do. Ofer, I don't know if anybody's actually said this today, but Ofer's a genius, really, when it comes to understanding the body and understanding how things work and why they work and how things are interrelated. And he comes to this yoga from many perspectives, one of them being physical health as being part of his main focus. For me, that's part of it, and I think I just sort of bring naturally a lot of spiritual feeling to it. For me, it's a real spiritual practice as well. So, as he mentioned, we all kind of have our personalities and flavors that we bring to it. And it's really nice because you can take the basic philosophy and understanding and then bring yourself into it as well. And really pay attention to what's going on with yourself that day, with your students that day. I have to say, I don't know, I've probably taught thousands of yoga classes now, and there's probably not been one class that's been identical to the other. I mean, they're always different. It just really depends on the moment and what seems to be the right thing to do. And so it's always fresh. And what's been fun, too, is I did the training at the same time Jan did, so I guess that was back in 2004. And it keeps evolving, you know. Things that we learned then, kind of some of the movements evolved into other movements, and there's always room for growth. It's just really exciting, and we all share our ideas, and it's taking the basic understandings of yoga and then just opening it up in a whole new way. And I remember one time you said something like, you know, it's not really going to make a difference in your life. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, it's not going to make a difference in your life whether you can bend forward and have straight legs. You know, like a lot of styles of yoga talk about, you know, perfect alignment and all that. But it will make a difference if you can move comfortably and if you can, you know, function in your life and do the things you want to do. And I think that's really what Sugi Yoga addresses, is what can you do in your life to make functioning in your body, you know, more comfortable, and really listen to your body and give your body an opportunity to help support you in doing the things you want to do in this world, you know. So, thank you, Ofer.
I'm going to talk.
Oh, good.
People forget that I was in the yoga trainings too.
You were.
In more than one, in fact. And I originally took the yoga trainings because I wanted to change the way I taught Tai Chi. So Tai Chi has always been my first love, and I started doing yoga with Ofer when we first met, because when I tried yoga before, it didn't really resonate with me. And I think, like Nancy, it was too still. I was busy. I'm still busy. And I couldn't just lie there and be meditative. And that's why I liked Tai Chi, because it kept me moving and I could still meditate while I was moving. So what I wanted to do, though, was I wanted to understand the underlying concepts of movement that I had learned from being in the classes with Ofer. So I could then apply that to the way I was teaching Tai Chi and help people in my Tai Chi classes to gain the deeper benefits of that understanding of movement. So I just wanted to share that with people, because taking a yoga training in this style of yoga isn't even necessarily about yoga in the end. It's about movement, and it's about life, and it's about how we relate to life. And yoga happens to be the vehicle in this training. So I love yoga, and I'm passionate about it, and it's been amazing to have that style of movement as another option for me. And the two together are actually a beautiful complement, because I gain different things from different types of movement. But whether they're yoga or Tai Chi aren't so much what matter as that I have a deeper understanding of myself and how I move in my body. So I'm able to do things like go to the chiropractor less often, because I know how to move either from my yoga or my Tai Chi movements. I have a wider variety to choose from that will stimulate spontaneous self-adjustments. So things like that, for me, are huge, because it ends up meaning that I'm stronger and I need less professional care because I have a stronger self-care tools. So that was what I wanted to share, because it's really amazing to see how it can apply to so many aspects of life, whether you're, digging in the garden or playing with your kids, or whatever it is. This understanding of movement through yoga can enhance everything that you do. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you all. Yeah, nobody inadvertently turned it off. I'm very happy. So, any questions from the other people? Right, if you come up with any, if you decide that you want the information about the training, just let me know and I'll email you. Has a delineation of the hours and the cost and the schedule for a day of training, if it's a Saturday or an evening. And some people might hear, Saturday, I can never do Saturdays. Well, remember that I'm in charge. Maybe we can change it all to Sundays. Right? So if you're interested in that, just let me know, and I'll send you a copy of that. And
Do we have time for some movement?
we do. I want to take a couple of minutes to kind of dispense with a bit of theory.
Okay.
And then we'll do a little bit of practical aspects of theory. The way that I look at the training is, at least in part, is practical philosophy. So if we learn something, then we apply it, so we can see how it works in our own lives, and we can start making use of it. I've mentioned that almost everything that we do had to be learned, so it's a skill. And knowledge about how to improve your skills in our society is often partial, confusing, and sometimes just plain wrong. But it's being followed because it's kind of a tradition to follow what happened before. And it reminds me of a story about this researcher who had several monkeys in a cage, and in the cage he also arranged a ladder, and at the top of the ladder were hanging some bananas that you could easily see, and he had a sprinkler with very cold water. And what would happen is that any monkey that would come and pull on a banana, all the other monkeys would be sprayed with very cold water, which was very unpleasant for them. And then after a while they figured it out. And whenever a monkey was going to climb up to get a banana, all the others would stop him or her from doing it. And then after that was this pattern of behavior was established, then what the scientist did is he came and he replaced one of the monkeys with a new one who didn't know anything. Okay? And the monkey wants to climb the ladder to get the bananas, and the others are viciously not letting it do it. And he doesn't know why. Okay? There's no knowledge of why I am being prevented, just society is doing it to me. Society of monkeys in this case, but that's okay. And the water is not working anymore, but the monkeys don't know that, because now they have their habitual behavior. And the scientist gradually replaces all of the old monkeys, one by one, with the new monkeys, who are then taught the behavior from the current monkeys, who all learned it from the previous batch. And eventually, you have a situation where there are all monkeys that were not in the first group, and they're all stopping any new monkey from climbing up the ladder, because that's tradition. And so, since humanity started asking, oh, how do I do this? Teach me, teacher, please. There's been a tradition of effort for at least 12,000 years, and probably quite a lot longer than that. And so the belief is that effort is, how should I say it? Effort is generally considered a necessary ingredient for improvement and progress in our society. And that's the way it is. You want to get better, put in more effort, try harder. And that's the message that we've been getting for thousands of years. Well, not us as individuals, but as a society. And this is very peculiar, because even a cursory look around you will show you that as your skill improves, the level of effort decreases. So, for instance, if you're going to be, you start rock climbing in one of those places where they have walls with all the hand and toe holds and so on, and you're climbing a particular path, then the 100th time you climb it, not in the same day, of course, is much easier than the 5th time. You just got better at it, and it's easier, and the amount of effort you put into doing the same thing is much smaller, and you do it much more confidently and much more easily than before. And that's true for basically every skill that you've ever learned in your life. Okay. So, what it basically means is that effort in performance indicates actually incompetence and lack of sufficient skill to do the job well. And this is almost exactly the opposite of what our society teaches us. Okay. Another way of saying it is that good performance means very little effort or no effort in it. And so why should anybody go and put more effort into performance, trying to make it better, is kind of beyond me. But this is what we're used to. I mean, this is what I grew up with. It's just, there are a few decades of doing something different, I can talk a little differently. Now, reliance on effort for improvement, which is what our society has been doing for many thousands of years, means that all of the techniques that were developed to help people improve are effort-based techniques, because effort is considered a necessary ingredient. So what happens is that people do effort in a more sophisticated way, like the 19-minute fitness or the 20-minute fitness and so on. But it's still based on effort. And there's a problem with that, in that when you cannot make more effort, it means you cannot improve anymore. And I personally don't like that kind of a limitation. So I mentioned that Sugi Way is completely different. And it's essentially different because it primarily relies on non-effort techniques. Whereas basically all other yoga classes you go to, for instance, improvement is based on effort techniques. And there are many other ways of talking about it, but for today, just that way. Now, in Sugi Yoga and the Sugi Way in general, we know that effort is not necessary for improvement. Change is necessary, but not effort. And so if we get better at creating change, then we make effort less necessary. And it's an entirely different ball game. Looking to create change and looking to make effort are entirely different things. And Sugi Yoga is a great way to learn and practice no effort techniques, because yoga lends itself very easily to no effort practice. So all you got to do is be in a posture and let it do the work for you. Okay? So that's one tweak on the usual. And in a practical sense, what it means is that you can continue improving even when you don't make any efforts. That means you can continue improving for the rest of your life, for as long as you wish to improve in something. And the second practical thing is that practice in general takes time. And as time passes, we get older. But if we get better through practice, that means that at least I have an expectation of being better as I get older. I expect to be better next year than I am today. And the usual expectation in society is that past a certain age we will decline, and we fight against the decline, and we fight against it more and more with more and more effort. And so we see that just a cursory look at thinking about no effort and doing some mental gymnastics around it can lead us to have completely different expectations of what the aging process will be like. And it's part of the philosophy of the Sugi Way, and I talk a lot of philosophy in the training. So there's a lot of mind benders, and after your mind's bent in a different way, you find it's very difficult to return to the old way, which then seems bent actually. Okay? So that's a little bit of philosophy. I have to put some philosophy, whatever you do with it. So if you would all please find a nice spot on the floor and lie on your back for a moment. We'll take a look at practice and combine it with a bit of knowledge to make the practice fit into everyday life and become more practical. So lying on the back, and you can have the legs bent, you can do whatever you like to just be comfortable lying on the back. You'll see for most people, if they don't have a pillow, they'd prefer to have the legs bent, which ruins my demonstration completely, but we'll figure a way out of it.
See how cooperative we are.
I can see it. Be cooperative and be comfortable. Okay? What we want to do is just let go. Okay? You all carry tensions that are useless tensions. That's to distinguish them from useful tensions. Okay? So you all have useless tensions, and you can let go of them by checking, scanning yourself, finding tense muscles, be they in your face, your shoulders, your hands, your neck, your belly, your legs, wherever it may be, for some in the feet, for instance. And see if you can directly let go. And if not, then a little bit of gentle movement usually helps to relax whatever it is that is tight. And sometimes just rearranging the feet at a different distance from each other, the arms at a different location, will make things more comfortable. And if you're more comfortable, you can relax a little bit more thoroughly. Now, relaxation is a skill. And the more experience you have in it, the quicker you can relax, and the more thoroughly you can relax. It's a very good skill to develop. So, if you practice relaxation on a regular basis, then in a week you will be able to relax better than you can today. And in a month, better still. And in a year, much, much better. And in 10 or 20 or 30 years, you can do whole trainings about relaxation based on your knowledge. But the point is that relaxation is a skill. There are many techniques for inducing better relaxation. After a while you are familiar with the state of relaxation and you can just get into it on your own, almost instantaneously. So you scan yourself physically and notice the breath. Now, most people, they think that they need to be different than they are, and they think that they need to do something about it. And on occasion that's true. Most of the time, at least in yoga, you can let things happen. And then the changes that happen are more true to yourself, to your own true nature, rather than somebody else. And most people, when they go about in life, they don't do it lying on their back. They sit, they stand, they walk, they bend, they lift things, they lower things, they drive their cars. And so how do you make the relaxation, the skill that you develop lying on your back here in class, how do you take it home and use it? And you can use it by dedicating a few minutes a day to lying on your back, practicing relaxation, letting go of the tensions of the day. I, by the way, highly recommend doing that at the end of a work day when you get home. The first thing, to do a few minutes of relaxation to make a very clear separation between work life and home life. I personally found it very helpful, so I recommend it. Now, in yoga, there is a posture called Tadasana, translates as mountain pose, which is basically the same situation you're in. It means the feet are comfortably apart, the arms are in a comfortable place, the body is as relaxed as you can manage it. The only difference between Shavasana, which is what you are in right now, and Tadasana, is that it's done in a different orientation. Instead of lying on the back, you're lying on the bottoms of your feet. So what I would like you to do is, with minimal loss of relaxation, to say it in other words, stay as relaxed as possible and move carefully. Get yourself up to standing and to see if you can achieve the same level of relaxation you're in now while standing on your own 2 feet. It is not so easy to move while relaxed. That's one of the reasons that in Sugi Yoga we have motion. And so in standing, those that, as when you achieve standing, continue with the practice of relaxation as though you're still lying on your back, but on your own 2 feet, lying on the bottoms of the feet. And see how relaxed can you be and still remain upright. Get a feeling that if you relaxed a little bit more, you would kind of fold or collapse to the floor. And until then, see how much more can you relax. And if you do it very attentively, you will notice that relaxation is not symmetrical. One shoulder will relax sooner than the other, for instance, which might twist your posture a little bit, one way or the other. Bend it, twist it, make it uneven and unstraight, and you'll be standing incorrectly. But it is correct because you're standing very relaxed. And your body naturally, with practice. So you practice standing relaxed, and what your body will do on your behalf, without you having to do anything special about it, over time it will make your standing posture closer and closer to perfect. What you see in books as the perfect posture, your body will do it for you as soon as it becomes relaxed enough to move naturally. In other words, you will acquire the perfect standing posture, not because you try it and repeat it over and over and over again, trying to get it correct, but because you relax deeply and your body will do it for you automatically on its own. Actually, not automatically, spontaneously, because you'll be paying attention. And now taking that, however much you've succeeded, see how relaxed can you stay while walking. And for that I encourage opening your eyes, stay as relaxed as possible, and just walk around and stay relaxed, and walk as relaxed as possible. And you don't have to keep it, and you don't have to walk like this all the time, but compare it to your normal way of walking, to your usual way of walking. And while you're walking like this, consider, we've practiced relaxation lying on the back, we've gained some skill, we took it to standing, adapted or adjusted to relaxation in standing, developed the skill further, and now we're using it in walking. And the tendency for people when they walk relaxed is to walk very slowly like this. So what I would like you to do is stay relaxed and increase the speed to what you would consider normal walking speed. And stay relaxed so that you take a skill you learn in class and you use it in everyday life. It means this, what I call the speed of life. And now you're practicing yoga while walking and no one knows. A secret yoga practitioner. Okay? Let's get together and find out if there are any questions, comments, or observations about this. And by the way, you can do this every day at home. We took about 7 minutes for it, so undoubtedly you will get better with practice as well. So, Yeah, questions, comments, observations on this little exercise or anything else we've done in the last 54 minutes.
What if you have necessary tensions?
Necessary tensions. Necessary tensions protect you from injury, and so let them be. Okay, when your body figures out a way, the conditions under which they're not necessary, it will let go of them, and then they will shift into the category of unnecessary tensions, and you can deal with them in the same way.
So if you're in Shavasana and it's not releasing as you're going through,
You leave it alone. Give your body knows a lot better than you what it needs. So you respect it. And you continue investigating, because maybe it's a tension that was necessary 15 years ago and now it's a monkey.
we all want to
Right?
right?
So, we don't assume that it's still needed. But we kind of, how should I say it, we give it the benefit of the doubt and we explore it very carefully. Because I personally know a yoga teacher who let go of a necessary tension and almost broke her knee in the process of doing it. Not a happy state. Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Injury.
Injury, yeah.
So if you have an injury that has nothing to do with yoga, like I fell and hurt my hand, right?
Yeah.
How do you stay relaxed or whatever, do whatever your practice is, and allow it to heal, but at the same time not stop practicing?
Yeah. You adjust your practice in such a way that during the practice you don't aggravate existing pains. And that actually is sufficient for your body to start healing it properly. Most of the problems that we have that have been around for more than, let's say, 3 months, they are still there because of re-injury, even if we don't know how we're doing it. Sugi Yoga allows you to alter your practice in such a way to protect injured areas, not keep re-injuring them. And if you have an experienced teacher, then they can actually give you things to do that will increase the speed of healing of that area.
Well, for example, I tripped and fell and hurt my hand. And I found that I couldn't do down dog, and I looked on the internet, of course, and found there was something called quarter down dog, which you do it on your forearms. And that felt so much better. But then the other day I was showing somebody down dog, and I was like, "Oh my God, it still hurts." So
Yeah.
how do you improve? I want to.
How do you improve?
Not just,
Yeah. So there are ways of doing. For instance, since you mentioned the down dog, to get into possible solutions, you put a rolled towel under the palm of the hand that allows the fingers to bend, and that relieves strain from the wrist. So that's one possibility. A second possibility is to do it on the flat area of a fist, which then keeps the wrist straight. So it still has a demand on it that is non-injuring.
Yeah, I've been doing my push-ups that way so they don't re-injure it. So.
Yeah. So the same concept. So you keep putting a demand on it so that the body keeps upgrading it. And then you do it in such a way that doesn't cause any pains. Yeah. And every posture and exercise in Sugi Yoga is amenable to that. And it goes both ways. So if you need special care for a body part, that's available. If you need a bigger challenge, that's usually also available. So in the same class, you might have two people, one that just got injured yesterday and needs to baby herself and does the headstand one way, and somebody else who's really top shape and can do things really well and is learning how to do twists in a headstand. Okay, and the teacher just said, do headstands. And you as a student, you already know, and you do your own level. And if you don't know what your level is, you ask a teacher, and let me see what you're doing.
And if I can make one comment.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I started doing a little yoga practice every morning. And it was not really meant for effort. I didn't realize it until you just described it beautifully. And it was like a little bell went off, a little light went off when you were describing it. And 4 years, I've been doing it for 4 years, for 10 or 15 minutes a morning. That is it. Just simple, kind of relaxed postures. And I cannot believe how much stronger and fit I am. Things that when I was first started, my body would be shaking. Again, I wasn't holding anything hard. I was just in a position. So I can see where, again, your explanation made the light go off. So thank you for that.
Excellent. You're welcome. Other things?
I have one thing, and that is that what you were just talking about, the injury and working around it, is probably the hardest thing that we have to teach, because people are so conditioned to work through an injury, and physical therapy is designed to painfully work you through an injury to keep mobility, and what we're trying to teach is the exact opposite, to keep moving it and using it in a way that is not aggravating it, rather than trying to push through the pain, and it's probably the biggest obstacle in our teaching.
Monkeys. All right. Very good. In that case, we're out of time. So, thank you all for being here. Stick around, ask questions if you have any more. They'll be off the record. Okay, and we have flyers. Amy has flyers.